Here's how you can build a quail pen for under $175. Let's do it. Guys, welcome back to a how-to video. This is the first video on our how-to series. We're gonna go over how we build our quail pens, or you could use it for a chicken coop, just whatever you need, but we DIY everything. We're trying to save everybody a little money, and we are all in on this, minus the drill and the skill saw, for under $175. So I'm gonna go over this list real quick of everything that you're gonna need. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen as well as I talk through it, but I wanted to go through this with you. So you'll need poultry staples. I spent $15 on those. 5 pressure treated 2x4s. I spent $20.90 on those. A sheet of pre-cut pressure treated plywood. I spent $10.60 on that. Now I did buy 2 feet wide by 150 feet long poultry wire at Tractor Supply Company. I bought that for $80. Box of screws. I used 3-inch Deckmate exterior wood screws. I bought those for $10. My tape measure was $9, and my cutting square where you mark your straight lines with was $10 as well. I'm all in at $155.50. We said under $175 because it can be different in your area. I'm in Georgia, northern Georgia, so these are lumber prices right now as of June of 24. Obviously they might change for you depending on your area and time when you build, but I wanted to go ahead and show you all how we do this, so let's go through it. Alright guys, so I wanted to kind of give you a rundown. This is a pen that I built, I don't know, maybe a couple days ago. I threw this up within 30 minutes, but I wanted to give you a rundown on all the different dimensions that we're going to be doing today. So these, the vertical pieces as well as the horizontal pieces, these here, they're all going to be 21 inches. These are 48. I also only did these 21 inches tall because my wire's 2 feet wide, but you have to take into account for your vertical risers and these up here, your vertical 2x4s up here. If I cut them at 24 inches, if I cut them at 24 inches, I wouldn't have had enough room to actually staple my wire, and I would have had to layer it or build a center brace there and just split it down the middle. So 21 inches, you need 8 of those. You need 8 21-inch cuts, and you need 4 48.25-inch cuts. This plywood is 2 feet by 4 feet. What I'll probably end up doing, because I'm gonna put wire at the top, the bottom, and all sides so that no predators can get in and get them, I'm probably gonna end up cutting this in half, putting maybe a piece of scrap wood here to give it a little bit of a grade, and doing my wire underneath the roof. But I want them to be able to get a little bit of sunlight. I don't want them completely shaded, so I might cut this down the middle so that you still have a sun side and a shade side. But the poultry wire is very small gaps, so hopefully we don't have to worry about too many predators getting in. But we're gonna go ahead and take you through a couple of cuts that I do. We might do kind of a speed up portion of the video. I'm gonna take you through a couple cuts, show you how I screw everything in. There's a couple other options you can do as far as screwing in here. You can use some plates. I forget what they're called, but you can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot, where it's just a metal plate. You could put 2 screws up here, 2 screws down here, and it would also do the same thing as far as connecting these two together. The only thing I'm concerned about, and I might do this different on this one, I'm not 100% sure, is this might be too tall. And what I mean by that is with quail, when you go in to feed them, when you go in to water them or grab eggs from the pen, a lot of times they flush or they fly. You really don't want it this tall, just because of the fact that if they get enough momentum going upward, they can actually damage their neck and they would be expired. But I might go a little shorter on these 8 cuts. Yeah, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I might go a little shorter on that, but let's go ahead and get to the cutting. We are going to do it a little different than we did that one. We're going to do it an inch shorter on the vertical pieces, we're gonna go 20 inches on the vertical, and then we might go a little wider on the pin so they have more surface area to walk around, but we're gonna go 20 inches here. So you just mark up 20 inches. Take your square. Boom. Make a cut. All right, here we go. First cut. And here's your first piece. That will be your first vertical piece there. So that's how you do it. We'll go ahead and cut the rest. We'll kind of speed up the clips. We'll come back to you whenever we are ready to screw them all together. All right, guys. So we got our 8 pieces, our 8 20-inch pieces here for your vertical and horizontal runners. Then these 2 boards, we're going to cut them clean in half. So you got 96 and a quarter inches. So we'll just cut these clean in half, and these 4, when you cut these 2 in half, will be here and here. Same thing on the other side. Don't mind the boots. It's the new 2024 style. No big deal. Measure twice, cut once. All right, so we've got our 4 long pieces here. Then we've got our 8 20-inch pieces here. We're going to start by doing just the bottoms. So we're going to do 2 of these here. Hey, copper. 2 of those there. Get 2 of our 20-inch cuts. Put them here. Just like so. And then where I only did 2 screws here, so I'll shoot 2 of the 3-inch screws here, there. I'll do the next rectangular piece, and then I'm going to start running the vertical pieces here, doing this way up. So we'll go ahead and start screwing some or drilling some screws in. All right, so just kind of a side tip here. When I'm screwing these boards together, I try not to ever go straight in. I don't know, I mean, I've always found that if you do kind of an X pattern, you drill down towards the meat and up towards the meat, it holds a little better. So with the way I'm doing it, especially with these vertical boards having angled screws in them instead of the metal plates that I mentioned, I always go down on one screw, up on the other screw, and I always go towards the center of the board I'm drilling into, so the meat towards the center. I won't ever go out. I just wanted to kind of give you a helpful tip there for kind of how I do it. All right, so we've got our bottom piece here. This will be the bottom. Little TLC. We'll get it worked out. But we're gonna build the top section next. I'm telling you, with these boots, I can run faster and I can jump higher. These are the Ariat Jordans. Nice ventilation here. A little bit of ventilation here. Looky there, son. My feet never sweat. Feet never sweat, never stressed. So we're about to do our vertical pieces here. Like I told you, I'm gonna do an angle in kind of deal. So what I mean by that is this piece sits here. I'm gonna start the screw, and then I'm gonna push the screw up to angle it down into these two boards here. So typically what you'll have to do, you have to be careful not to split the end of the board off. So I typically go about 1 inch up, start the screw, barely get it in, and then you're gonna take the screw and angle it up. Now again, when you use 3-inch screws, you have a little more leg room as far as how steep you angle it, because the chances of that screw making it into this board are greater because it's longer, and you're only 1 inch up on this board here. So when you put it down here, there's a pretty good chance that screw is going to hit that board even with an angle that's not as steep. And then you just screw it in from there. There you go. And I'll do the same thing on this side too. Now the first screw that you do on each individual vertical piece, you're probably going to have to do it like I did, where you lay it down on a flat surface, start the screw, and then put it up here. If you try to start here and then pry the screw up, you're gonna pull the board off, and it'll take you forever to have to figure out how to do it. So just lay the board down on its side, start the screw, push the screw up to not a super steep angle because you don't want to split the end of the board like I said, and then go ahead and drive your screw the rest of the way in. All right guys, so we're running out of daylight and SD card space on the camera, so I still have to run the screws on this top part here. But you can tell the size difference between the two of these with a 20-inch versus 21-inch. I think this is going to be a little better for the quail, just so they can't get as much speed when they fly up when I go in to feed them and grab eggs and water them. But I'll drill this part on up here, screw it on, and then next step's going to be paint, so we'll take you through that. And then the next step would be wire, and then the next step is the roof. The plywood, the pressure treated plywood. Alright guys, welcome back. This is day number 2 of the quail pen for under $175. Let's do it. We went ahead and assembled that pen, and I've already painted that pen. So that was done. I started to paint this pen, then we started to run out of daylight, so I'm going to go ahead and paint the roof of this. This is our pressure treated plywood here, 2 foot by 4 foot, and I had to give it a couple days for the pressure treated boards to dry out because the paint won't stick to the boards unless they're dry, and pressure treated boards are a little wet. So we gave them a couple days to dry out. We're going to go ahead and paint. I am painting with exterior paint, the same stuff I have on my fence here, and then I got to put the wire on, and then I got to do the roof. So we're going to try to do all that before we run out of daylight. Hopefully we can get that done pretty quick. Trying to decide how I'm gonna fix this. I'm taking just an old stake, because this is 1-inch gaps here on your poultry wire. I'm just taking 1-inch stake and going about every 2 to 3 inches, sticking it here and pulling it tight, pulling your wire tight. What I probably should have done is because I stapled off this end first here. So I stapled this end off first to hold, so I could pull this end. What I'm hoping is that by the time I make it to this corner, I can pull some of this wave out. It's way too loose. I can also pull some of the wave out when I staple it to the sides here. I really wasn't anticipating how flimsy it was going to be, the wire anyways, but I'm using, show you my staples here, I'm using 3/4 inch poultry wire staples. It's called Fast and Tight. These things are really easy to drive, but just not happy with the way the middle's turning out here with how loose it is. But I'm hoping when I pull it this way and pull it the other way, I can get some of that out, which this is going to be the roof anyway, so the quail won't be walking around on it. I can fix it on the bottom whenever I go to the bottom, figure out what I did wrong. But we'll see how it turns out. I'm gonna keep pulling it tight and we'll see if I can get some of the wave out of it by the time I'm done. Stay tuned. Good news, my beautiful wife is a genius, and those waves I mentioned in the previous clip are now gone. Perfect tight. What we did, if you use poultry wire, I had it straight cut. I have this 23 inches. I was trying to line both edges up, both sides when I was cutting, but I didn't account for pull whenever you pull it tight. So what I did is I stapled this corner off first. This whole row here pulled this end, but then I had about a 1/2 inch hangover here on this side because of how bad it stretches when you pull it. So we ended up pulling from both sides by hand. We just hooked our fingers here and pulled, stapled, and we got all the waves out of it, so it's perfect. And then what I'm gonna do is take a piece of scrap wood here. I'll paint it the same color just to give it a little bit of grade on the plywood. I'm gonna screw maybe here and then grade my plywood to 0 just to give it a little slope so the rain doesn't sit straight on top of the plywood. It doesn't need much because it's already going to be sitting on a slope here, but super happy we got that wave out of the wire, so I think it looks great. We'll do the other sides and the bottom there, and then we'll put the plywood on. Alright guys, welcome back. This is day 3 of the quail coop. We finally got this one totally painted, 2 sides with wire on it. Now luckily I have my beautiful wife here to help me, but if you don't have somebody here to help you, I want to show you how to do this by yourself when it comes to pulling the wire. So I figured out this wavy in the middle here. While you're in the middle of stapling, don't worry about it, you can pull it out later, but you'll staple this entire side right here. Make sure you get on the twisted part though. Make sure you don't get on the single wire strand. Make sure you get on the twisted part here, and then you're going to come down here, and I've done almost this entire side this way, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So like I said, you find a twisted joint here. You're going to go and run your staple further up, start it, get it almost there. You're going to take you a stake or whatever you're using to pull your wire tight, get it in there, pry it forward, finish it on out. And you're going to do that all the way down this side here. And then what I'll do is I'll get on this side and pull every time I staple. Pull and pull and pull, and then I'll trim my excess off. But I just wanted to show you how to pull your wire tight here, so that when you do go pull these sides out and it flattens out here, you'll be good to go. I just want to show you how to do it by yourself. But we're going to go ahead and finish this wire up. We did cut the door, and we did that out of the scrap wood that we had left over. We're painting that, waiting for it to dry. I am going to run wire over the top of that door as well. But that was all out of the scrap wood that we had left over. We didn't have to buy any extra boards for that. That was all left over out of the scrap wood. But we'll go over the sizes and dimensions whenever we run it along the hinges here and put the latch on. But I did want to let you know that you didn't have to buy any extra boards. Alright guys, so you can see here I finished this side off where it's tight. I finished stapling this entire side here. Don't mind that one. That one never happened. But I did want to show you how, because see, I've already finished this side here too, where I hand pulled it. And this section here has no waves in it at all. It's real tight. This section here is still wavy. I'm going to show you how I do this on my own. So on the staple, I don't know, can you see it? Kissa, can you get it to focus? You'll see there's a long side and a short side. Okay? Long side, short side. I always hold the long side here. You get kind of where you want to staple. Here, you shook your fingers. Start it. And there you go. Just like that. All the waves are coming out of it. I just wanted to show you that just in case you are doing it by yourself, how you can hand pull this wire and get the waves out of it. Alright guys, we are putting on the last long piece here, but some behind the scenes filming. We turned the dogs out thinking they might relax. They're not really relaxing. They just want to sit here and point. They've been doing this for about 15 minutes now. Hey everybody, welcome back to day 4 of the quail pen. Hopefully we can finish this thing up today. I finished the wire on the pen. I still have to put the wire on the door. Now, the two things that I forgot to mention on the list of things you'll need to buy is the latch and the hinges for the door. I just got a safety gate hook and eye latch. I don't know if you'll be able to see or not, if it'll focus. And then I just got matching hinges. Now these two items, the latch was $1.48 and the hinges were $3.48. So our new total for the entire pen is $160.46. Now granted, the reason we did under $175 is because you might need to buy a little bit of paint, you might need to buy wire cutters, you know, other small stuff that you don't already have. But as far as specifically for what the pen will need, the total was $160.46. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the wire put on this door, but first I want to go over the dimensions of the door. So this is the door finished. We went ahead and painted it. It's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life, but it's a door. Again, this is out of the scrap wood that we had left over from the 2x4s that we cut. So you'll need 2 top pieces that are 15 inches each, and then your 2 vertical pieces are going to be 12 inches each. So you'll have 2 pieces that are 12 inches vertical, 2 pieces that are 15 inches horizontal, and this perfectly fills out the gap for the door. We'll place our hinges here and here, our latch here, and we'll show you what the finished product looks like after we get wire put on it. Here is the door with the wire on it. Now I cut about 25 inches of wire just to give me some overhang. So the reason why this side doesn't have any overhang is because this is going to be my hinge side. I'll have a hinge here and a hinge here. This is going to be my latch side, so I can leave a little more overhang here. You can leave plenty of overhang on the top and plenty of overhang on the bottom. But I'll put both my hinges here and then my latch here in the middle, and I'm going to show you what it looks like totally finished with the door on. If you cut it to the correct specs, where you've got 1 foot 15 inches, 1 foot 15 inches, there's only going to be about 1/8 of an inch gap between the door and the pen. So the pen's going to sit right here. So whether you left hangover or not, really, I don't think any predators get through. I just don't really trust it. So I left hangover on the bottom, the top, and the latch side. The hinge side is no hangover. All right, guys, I wanted to show you what the door looks like on. I might have to take a little bit of this hangover off on the latch side. It might be a little too much, but there's the hinges there. That's what it looks like. Time to get the latch on. All right, guys, so this is the latch here. I wanted to show you kind of how I did this. So I measured 6 inches up, put the latch in the center, and you always do the latch first. Take your eyelet here, which is going to hook to, and you get it hooked just like that. You take it and you push it against your exterior board just like that. It's a heck of a lot easier to move this than to move this. So you put this in first, go ahead and get it hooked and get it level to where you have a little bit of play in it, because after you screw this into the board, it's going to change either height or left and right. So you want a little bit of play in it. Pop this off, and then you screw this in. All right, guys, here's the final piece. I just ended up screwing the plywood on the top here. I do still have wire underneath this, but you'll see here's the door, your latch. Open it up, and you got your babies in there. So I'll probably end up putting Quail in here either tonight or tomorrow. I do need to buy a couple more food dishes, a couple more water bowls that hang on the wire. You can order those off Amazon though. They're cheap, like $1.80 a piece. But yeah, plywood's on, everything's totally done. The only recommendation I will make is, full transparency, I don't know how strong this poultry wire is. I don't know how many predators it's going to stop. The only thing I might change moving forward is using rabbit wire. That's actually what I have on my call box here. Is this real small rabbit wire. I might switch to that and literally just overlay it on the poultry wire. I'm not entirely sure. I want to do a little more research on it, but if that's the case, no worries, no big deal. But yeah, poultry wire's on, doors on, everything's on. And leave us any questions that you have down in the description below, and feel free to subscribe. We love making content like this. Thank you.